I do feel a bit guilty about this. A whole video just on calamities relating to it-apostrophe-s and its. Yet remarkably, this is an error which some of my brightest pupils continue to make. Why? Let's get to the bottom of this and train remaining recalcitrant minds so that they finally appreciate that such inaccurate mishaps are unacceptable. Stay tuned and watch Schofiedl on Shakespeare. As in previous videos, I must point out that the vast majority of my pupils, when quizzed, know the rules relating to it-apostrophe-s and its. The problem is that some errors have become ingrained habits and are committed without thinking and seemingly can't be spotted when proofreading. The hope is that the activities within this video will correct this.
So, the rules. When checking your work, if you can substitute its for it is and your sentence still makes sense, you need the apostrophe, which is acting as a contraction to illustrate the fact that there is a missing I. For example, it's a glorious Sunday morning here in Hampshire with blue skies galore. Let's test out my rule. Can I replace the it's with it is within this sentence? It is a glorious Sunday morning. Yes, I can. So this is the correct form of it's. The teacher tick is fully merited. On to the second rule. And the easiest way of doing this is to say use its without the apostrophe if it doesn't make sense when you try to substitute it for it is. Alternatively, use it to indicate possession, i.e., its position was dreadful. The it refers to some inanimate object which has presumably previously been mentioned, e.g. perhaps a car's parking, perhaps something jarring artistically. Once again, we can try substituting it is to check whether there should be an apostrophe. It is position was dreadful, no. Thus, no apostrophe can be used and the correct its is the its version. Time to look at some past pupil work. All of these sentences have been written by pupils I have taught in the past. The question is this: have they used its correctly? You decide. This video will resume in 5 seconds time. So, question 1. Time to hope or time to despair? Remember the rule. Let's try it. Greyhound buses were so popular that songs were written about it and it is great reputation. Doesn't make sense. Ugh. So we can't use it-apostrophe-s. The sentence should be written like this. The its relates to possession. The Greyhound bus's great reputation. Time for number 2. The dreadful sounding men were waiting for the unsuspecting prey to come out of its hole. Whilst I'm never that keen on the word prey within descriptive or narrative writing, it almost invariably sounds cliched. Is the it's correct? It is indeed, hurrah! It relates to the prey's hole, and so we write its. Remember, its is the only exception to the rule which decrees that you should use an apostrophe to indicate possession. So this would be correct. but this would be wrong. Well done, pupil 2. Time for the third sentence. This sentence starts with a slightly puzzling phrase, hand over head. Perhaps he or she is thinking of the rather tired cliche used in faux passionate declarations, hand on heart. However, what do we make of the use of it's? Well, does it still make sense if we substitute it for it is? It obviously isn't to do with the numbers it is generating. It does, so therefore, this one is wrong. Remember, here's the correct version. But of course, it can be easier to spot its errors within single sentences and when you have been told to look out for them. 3 consecutive paragraphs are going to appear now. They may or may not have its errors. Here's the first one. Press pause to read through and make up your mind. Accurate in its use of its is or not? A rather nice paragraph, isn't it? Some crisp, effective, sustained alliteration when referring to the fridge and its contents. And I also like the focus on very small details and more unusual colours. But what about any itses? Are they accurate? Just the one within this piece. Each individual piece seems to have many unique stories of its growth. Here, its is being used to indicate possession, the individual piece's growth. So its without an apostrophe is accurate. What a good start. Here's a different paragraph. Once again, you have a decision to make. If there are any its used, have they been used accurately? Press pause to ponder. Once again, some interesting stuff. Does the opening simile reflect the cataclysmic impact of a lockdown on the UK? Possibly. The noun plague seems fitting, and I like the distinction made between the most significant danger for the general population, at least during the first lockdown, fear and panic, rather than the virus itself. Here are all the itses. What do you make of them? Well, for the first one, an apostrophe has been used. This means that if we substitute it is, the sentence will still make sense. Does it? Today, the biggest plague was not coronavirus, but it is distant cousins, fear and panic. No, it doesn't. So this first use is wrong. It should be. Now for the rallying cries. No apostrophe has been used, which should signify that there's some possession somewhere, some belonging. But there isn't anything. Clearly here, it's is a contraction for it is. So it should be. Thus, the original was sadly wrong. Naughty pupil. And here's the final paragraph. Any its, errors or not, dear viewers, subscribers and pupils? Tell me, but press pause to read through first. Some nice writing here. I like the house's unusual small details and some more interesting vocabulary such as purloined and droop. But where are the itses? Here they are, no apostrophes in sight, right or wrong. Well, for the first one, its facade is referring to the house's facade. So we need the second rule here. Use it-s when you are referring to something which belongs to it. No apostrophe is needed. This is correct. Now, on to the second its. A dramatic short sentence. Now it's bare. But doesn't this look suspiciously like we could substitute its for it is, and the sentence would still make sense? Yes, so a mistake. The correct version should be
So, Camilla, Jemima, Lavinia and Sybil, not their real names. Have you got the message now? Do not ever, ever, ever make an it's error again, or I'll have to get myself and jump over that window in utter despair. But many thanks for watching Schofiedl on Shakespeare.